You're listening to the oneofus.net podcast network.
Something's coming.
Stand by. Hold on to your hats, here we go.
Welcome to the ScreamCast episode 114. I am Sean DeRager, and with me is Brad Henderson.
Hey, Sean.
What's up, man?
How's it hanging?
It's hanging all right, a little bit to the right.
Oh, man, that's such an old joke. I knew you were going to make that. That's the reason why I asked that question.
Well, you were asking it so lame, I was like, I guess got to go to the old standby.
I guess so.
This is the lamest opening we've done so far.
No, I'm pretty sure it gets... I mean, it probably is because it just gets worse and worse each time.
Yeah, we better stop.
Makes total sense.
BJ's not feeling well. She took the night off.
Ooh, I should have too.
I know. Then just be me talking about what's on my doorstep. Very awkwardly. Little updates, some bullshit to talk about real quick. We do have all of our podcasts up on our YouTube channel.
Ooh. We're on the YouTubes.
They're on the YouTubes. I officially got them all up there. Some of you like to listen on YouTube, which is fine. It's great. You know, I have an anecdote with the YouTube thing. I'll get it in just a second because I actually stumbled across
I can't wait.
some podcasts on YouTube. But anyway, so they're there, and then I experimented with a couple of bullshit things of actual video to kind of test the waters and see what people want to see. And apparently, me showing off shit seems to be the popular thing. So
yeah, man. I mean, I think what it is though is, you know, I don't want to, you know, because we said YouTube like we've laughed. And
well,
stuff,
yeah, I've been an asshole.
It's well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, it's still funny, and I mean, almost we're to the point where we're making fun of ourselves. However, like, you know, if that's kind of what the horror community wants, then we're going to do it. Because, I mean, obviously, we've, like, curated this and have switched it up to please the audience and our listeners.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
you know, it's not like we fucking listen to this show. I can barely stand to listen to 2 fucking minutes of this show. So it's definitely not for us, you know?
You don't just sit back and just listen to yourself every single day?
Dude, I can't. Like, I used to listen to them, but then I was like, God damn, I sound so stupid.
I don't anymore either, because I'm like, I think we got it. And then, you know, hey, if we majorly fucked up, I guess it's out there. Someone will let us know.
Well, the thing is like, you know, I mean, some of these and not to knock it at all, because I think it's great, but some of these podcasts are well produced and they sound great. And it's like, I don't know, I kind of want to put the realism behind everything and make it a little more, you know, us than some, like, you know, corporate conglomerate thing that's just like.
Well, I don't have the time to sexy anything up anyway.
Right,
so.
Right. No, and that's what I enjoy about it. Because if we fucking prepped and shit like some of these podcasts do, I would be like, nah, this is a job, man. I don't have time for this. I just want to watch movies, write down some thoughts, and then stumble through it on the show.
There we go, man.
Sound like an idiot. That's what I want to do.
And for some reason, everyone keeps on listening. But so the YouTube stuff, we're kind of treading the waters through there. I want to make it something more, you know, something cool, like something a little bit different. I mean, YouTube is basically, I have always used it to research things and to get to and learn about things. I want to use it to kind of show off the oddities in my collection, like some of these box sets that are out of print and things like that. Things that I really like, because that's what I'll use it for, like the What's on Your Doorstep thing. Video version, you know, and if there's anything cool that I've gotten, I'll show off. That's probably what I'll start off doing. I tried something with my kids. I don't know if they're totally for it. I got to find a spin on that because they did not cooperate.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea and it's funny. So, I mean, obviously people, if they haven't watched, Sean has, it's truly a great idea is to show, a child, which this turns out to be Sean's kids, a, you know, cover art poster of a film, and for them to kind of guess what that, based off that cover, what the film's about or what happens. Mm-hmm. And it's really good. But the problem is, though, is your kids know you. So automatically they're going to say death, murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
this
would work great. Like if this was like, kids say the darndest thing
I
shit.
know. Yeah.
Where we just had like random kids would be like, hey, what's this look like?
We'll figure it out. It'll be fun. And then Brad, you're working up some ideas. Well, it's just we're gonna bullshit around with it and see what's fun. And I think that's the things that stick are just, I enjoy watching people have fun with stuff. So we'll see. And if you guys, we'll see. It doesn't matter. Like at this point I don't care. Like I'm just having fun and messing around. It's something for me to do. I have a super busy schedule, so I really can't, spend all my time on this stuff. But if it's something I'll post real quick, I'll put it up there. Every week we'll get the shows put up on there as an option for everyone to listen. So I mean it's fine. It's just another avenue. So but let's dive into what's on our doorstep though.
Holy cow, I almost forgot.
We'll get the door.
Damn, you just jumped right into it.
I know.
I thought we were going to talk more, but
we are because I'm continuing the YouTube thing because the first thing I want to talk about is so remember when we were talking about Stranger Things and I was like, man, I want to play Dungeons and Dragons with those kids because it was so entertaining watching them all play. Well, I've never played Dungeons and Dragons because when I grew up, it was, my parents believed that I would probably get possessed by a demon or something. Like, they basically thought it was like a Ouija board. I don't know. So I never played Dungeons and Dragons.
Ouija.
Ouija. I pronounced Ouija. I don't know.
I'm just being a nerd.
Jack off.
Go ahead with your, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, jack off.
So, and I never got into Dungeons and Dragons at all, which is weird because it's right up my alley. Like, it's something that I can't believe I never jumped into. I just never had anyone playing any games. I never got wrapped up into it. I'm huge, on video game RPGs, like the Final Fantasy games. And then there's a couple, there's like Neverwinter Nights, I think, video game, Baldur's Gate, things like that on the computer and everything. So Skyrim, of course, all those. But I was like I'm trying to brainstorm and get these kids off the TV because they're just watching too much TV and playing too much video games on the weekends. They turn into these little zombies. So I bought the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition starter kit. And this thing's like, to someone who's never played like this type of role playing, like it's almost insanely daunting. So I've been on YouTube like the past 3 days researching how to start game, like how to play and how to be a dungeon master and all that kind of stuff. So doing all this research just to play a stupid game with my kids, I stumbled across like a couple like Dungeons and Dragons like podcasts who they had their podcast up on YouTube. So that's what I was going to say, like, using YouTube, maybe people stumble across, our bullshit.
Wait a second. So there's a podcast about Dungeons and Dragons?
There's a bunch.
All right. Explain the concept to me.
Well,
play?
The one that I found was like a how-to. Like, as a dungeon master, here's what I do to prepare for a game. Because if you're the dungeon master, you control the whole game. You're controlling the whole experience. You've either made up the story or you're guiding your friends who are playing, who are the characters, guiding them through the experience, through the game. So the dungeon master has to like prep everything. Like the map and knowing what monsters are going to appear and having all the books available with all the information like you're running the show. So I was just trying to figure out how the hell to do this. And with me and my kids, it's going to be pretty simple because we're just going to wing it, but these guys,
this sounds a lot like the show.
Just winging it?
Yeah, this sounds a lot like our show.
Yeah, I'm going to treat Dungeons and Dragons.
We're supposed to prep, but we actually don't. We just wing it.
Exactly, and that's how I'll approach Dungeons and Dragons. But, it's crazy. Like, this thing is, I'm sure our listeners out there, a lot of you have played Dungeons and Dragons and know a lot more than we do. But I've been immersing myself in this, and it's cool, man. If if I would have done this in high school and college, it would have probably eaten me alive. Like, I would have probably been hardcore. Cause, it goes from like just pen and paper and maybe a map to like, these guys have these table-sized maps, grids that they have like, well, this is my desert landscape, and this is my greenery landscape, and this is my mountain landscape. And then they draw like where the rivers or where the borders and houses are. And then some of them have like actual houses and trees and miniature figures and all this stuff. It's ridiculous. It's like, it's this thing that can like really consume you. So I'm trying to keep it on the cheap. But I've been doing a lot of YouTube stuff, and I'm almost feel like overwhelmed. So we'll see. I'm going to play with my kids this weekend.
Yeah. Good luck.
But any of you who listen who are into Dungeons and Dragons, hit me up with pointers, please. Cheap hacks, like printable miniature figures and stuff like that, so we can make little characters. I don't know. But the way my personality is, like, I can go full hog on this and get overwhelmed fast. All of a sudden, like, I've lost my job and, you know.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing right on my doorstep has been consuming me this past few days. But
how about movie-wise?
Movie-wise.
That's why people want to listen.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's a movie podcast. Well, you know, there's a lot of crossover. A lot of horror fans are role-playing game fans, and so.
Okay. Let me know if you are, so I can like show Sean that I don't think that's true.
I think it's true because I know Kevin Spencer for sure. He's gonna start playing with his kid. So, fuck off, Brad. All right. The first thing I want to talk about is Ash versus Evil Dead. John Portnova had this as his disc of the week last week, and I grabbed the Best Buy Steelbook. It's sexy as hell. So I started watching it. I'm only 3 episodes in, and so far I'm really loving it. I've heard some mixed reactions on it. I've heard people complaining about the CGI. All that stuff I don't really mind all that too much because, number one, because it's a TV show. So I know there's going to be a little bit of a limited budget, but it's just Bruce Campbell in the role of Ash is just so goddamn fun. Like, it fits him like a glove. He's jumped right back into the role. He's just this pompous, arrogant old fart now. Still living in a trailer, working at some bullshit store. He's kept around his khakis and his blue shirt and his chainsaw. And I love it for that. That is just kind of goes for it, and it's ridiculous and outrageous, and there's some fantastic gore and moments. So far they're playing up the comedy of it, which I'm fine with. I mean, you know, I feel like it's a cross between Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness in tone, so they're kind of juggling those two tones so far. But I'm a huge fan. I can't wait to finish it out, and I'll report back once I finish the whole thing. But it's a lot of fun. Have you watched it at all yet?
I actually had this conversation with John Portnova today. As I've probably said on the show, I'm not that big of a fan of Evil Dead. Like, I enjoy the first film for the most part, but I'm not a fan of Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness.
Wow.
That said, they do probably pay a revisit because it's been a long, long, long time since I've seen them. I mean, I would say since like probably my early teens, but they didn't grab me then. So that said, I have not watched the television show, but I will say a lot of these horror television shows that are coming out, I've been giving, aside from American Horror Story, because it's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah, never hooked me.
And Walking Dead, because I couldn't get through
that one. I gave that one season, and that was it.
But I tell you what, I don't know if I've ever talked about this, but the From Dusk Till Dawn TV show is so fucking good.
Oh yeah, I've been meaning to check that out.
Yeah, it is. It's ridiculously good. I haven't got to the second season yet, but the first season is top notch. It starts off like before they actually get to the titty twister, so going over kind of the whole thing of, you know, Earl McGraw, like getting all his shit together. You know, they actually show the robbery happens, the kidnappee, and it's basically the first few episodes is them building up, getting into Benny's world of liquor and everything like that. They just extend the scenes pretty much. At times they almost go play by play of what the original movie is. Obviously, they start in that kind of like in season 4 or 5, I guess. They start picking up because then we're into the beginning of the film and then we're on the road. But it's really, really good. It's a lot of fun. The characters that they picked for Seth and Richie Gecko are fucking great. I mean, everything. Fucking, oh shit, I'm an idiot. I forgot his name. Don Johnson does the best Earl McGraw ever, other than, Michael Parks, which he was great too. But if you had to pick somebody other than Michael Parks, Don Johnson's probably the way to go.
Nice.
It's really good. I gave the Scream TV show a chance. The first few episodes did it for me, even though it's like MTV and it's a little like teeny boppy. It's actually decent. It's not bad. They do a different spin on it. It takes a little while for it to get going. But I think it's stronger. It's than most people think. I think what kind of hurts them is that it's MTV and kids. Like the kids that they have, because there are a lot of teeny boppers. And it's funny because, if you follow us on Twitter, I use the ScreamCast as the TV show to respond to people's tweets when they ask the ScreamCast questions.
Oh my God, man.
And it's so funny when people take us seriously. They're like, no, it's not you. I think the best one was when I went back and forth because they were like, it's not you, it's a TV show. And I was like, we don't have a TV show, we have a podcast. And they were like, no, like a TV show, like on TV. And I was like, wait, are you telling me my podcast is on TV? Just fucking with them. I mean, it's just all in good fun.
You're an ass, Brad.
Yeah, I know. But some of these horror TV shows, like I know I haven't dove into Scream Queens yet, but I know that's pretty popular. So I don't know, man. I kind of dig it for the most part because I'm gonna watch that slasher TV show that came out too. But I don't know, man. I'm not too big on TV, so it takes a lot. And the whole thing with Stranger Things got me going again. And I'm like, I've always pretty much been anti-TV. For the most part, not saying no, don't watch it, but for me, it's just not for me. But some of these horror television shows have got me, kind of got me hooked.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's hard for me really to get invested in TV. I'll always start something and then my wife and I seem to go through Game of Thrones. That's the show like we're hooked on and we'll always kind of binge that. But other than that, it's hard for us really to get into a TV show. Like I'm trying to get into Black Flags right now whenever I am on the treadmill
Black
or something, or Black Flags, Black Flag, Black Sails. And so far it's okay.
What is that show about?
Pirates and shit.
No. Yeah. But it's not full on like arg a pirate. It's building a story, but so far it's on Stars. I think it's on Stars, right? Or is it Showtime? But they do the thing where HBO, it's like, let's introduce this character, but she's a hot lesbian, and we're gonna have her introductory scene with her hot lesbian lover. Oh my God.
And they're gonna be totally doing it. It's
Congratulations, you just made me pass on that television show.
That's how they'll do stuff like that so far. Kind of like, what was that? Like the movie or the show Spartacus. How they kind of it was like they're trying too hard. Like Game of Thrones does that too, where it's just like, really, like, do we really have to have this conversation with two women, like, having oral sex, or like, does that have to happen? Like,
yeah, yes, it does, Sean.
I mean, there's a time and a place for that stuff, but sometimes if it
opens up a show, they're just trying to get viewers.
It's totally pandering to male viewership or female viewership, but So we'll see. I'm gonna give that a shot. But like that kind of stuff is like, it's just annoying because it's like this type of conversation could happen anywhere but here, but it's pandering is what it is. It's not necessarily really character development, because you can develop that if the character is a lesbian, or gay or whatever, you can develop that. You don't have to be so, I don't know. It's a little bit obnoxious when they, kind of force that stuff. But
yeah, it's the same thing as like, didn't Walking Dead open like that shit? Like Lori and Shane, like, wouldn't she like get pounded in the woods or some shit? I
don't remember. I mean, the first episode of Walking Dead was really good, but stuff like that, like you can introduce a character without being that explicit, like because it's just a way to get viewers. Man. For me, like sex and stuff like that, I appreciate when it's used as more character development. And Game of Thrones, like porno. And porno. Game of Thrones, there are instances of that with it actually being character development. Like you couldn't really portray that character or develop that plot point without showing that. You had to. But I just think it's more creative. Like it's not pandering to just get views from 16 to 17-year-old boys who jerk off and then they keep watching the show. You know what I mean?
It sounds like something I would watch. What is this show called? So what else? What were you talking about? How did we get on this subject?
I don't friggin' know.
What's on your doorstep, Sean?
Let's keep on.
That's what we were doing, right?
Yeah. This isn't horror, but I watched The Nice Guys, and it's fucking awesome. R-rated comedy done right. It's great.
Shane Black. What else do you expect?
Shane Black, man. I mean, of course, it takes place in Christmas.
Yeah.
And, of course. It's fantastic. Ryan Gosling, Russell Crowe.
Long Kiss Goodnight. They're all fucking Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, I laughed out loud a lot during this flick. And that rarely happens with a lot of comedies. But this is another example of good writing. Like not being raunchy for raunchy's sake. Like it all had a purpose and it's funny. It's worth checking out.
Does Iron Man 3 take place during Christmas?
Yep.
There you go. Fucking Shane Black and Christmas, dude. He loves it. I do too, though. I love the atmosphere. I love movies around Christmas time, whether they're comedy, horror, action. I don't know. Something just about that atmosphere that I really enjoy.
Yeah. I think that's it, man. I'm a little, oh shit. Oh, I gotta mention this. I broke open the Battles Without Honor and Humanity set. And I watched the first film in this series.
Why would you just watch the first film and then talk about it, not the whole thing?
Well, I need to finish, but I want to mention it. That I mean, there are sequels, like, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
What I wanted to mention was
papers, but yeah.
Yeah, what I wanted to mention real quick about it, because I want to finish the series and then give a full roundup about it. But I feel like there's like a sense of chaos in this film that I don't think I've seen in a lot of films. I don't know if it's a Japanese Japanese thing, but it's just like well executed chaos. It's amazing. And it's almost like you feel like maybe they just turned the camera on and told everyone to go crazy, but there's so much going on amongst all the violence and the crazy stuff going on screen. It was awesome. Something I haven't seen very often. I've seen in some Japanese films, but I feel like in this sense, it was pretty incredible. So I need to finish this series up.
Well, the first one's Battles Without Honor and Humanity.
Yeah.
And then what's the next one in the set?
Then it's Hiroshima Deathmatch, then Proxy War.
Sean, come on.
Hiroshima.
Police Tactics is the really fucking good one.
That's the fourth one, and there's a final episode.
Yeah, Police Tactics is the shit.
Yeah. So there's so many characters, man. They're juggling so many characters, but
with these films, though, I mean, especially with Japanese cinema in like the 70s and 80s. I mean, even into like the late 60s, they are one of a kind. It's crazy. Like, even like today, they don't make films like they used to back then.
No.
So it's quite bizarre watching some of these movies, because I remember picking up like the Yakuza Papers and stuff like that when I was younger, and kind of got into that, which that's what, Battles Without Honor and Humanity is the Yakuza Papers, if anybody knows.
Right.
So if you watch the Yakuza Papers back in the day, that's 2, and then 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all the Yakuza Papers. So I bought like a Yakuza Papers box set back in Best Buy when I was younger, and I kind of dove into these movies, and I'm just like holding my head, like even as a young kid, is like I don't understand half of this, but there's something so intriguing about these characters and stories, and when I got older, they become like kind of second nature of watching these Japanese films, because then I got more and more into it. Then I kind of understood it a little bit more as I was older. And I don't know, man, it's nothing like you would see. I mean, even Japanese cinema today and Korean cinema, a totally different playing field for most movies.
I feel like they're way more, like, they're super polished, but there's like just a chaotic nature that I saw in Battles Without Honor and Humanity that I haven't seen. And I think when was that? Was that done in the 70s or 80s?
These are all done in the early 70s.
Okay, but it's very specific, I think. So I'm trying to think of other like kind of Japanese films that I've seen that kind of had that. I mean, it goes, there's like Seven Samurai, and that type of filmmaking had a little bit of that, but this, with the whole Yakuza thing and the violence and just the crowds, like it's just a whole other level that I haven't seen a whole lot of. And I haven't watched, it's like I love Japanese cinema, but I feel like I still haven't watched a whole lot. Like there's still so much that I haven't seen, Well,
I will say the films by, because the director of the Yakuza Papers, both, I guess we call it Battles Without Honor and Humanity now. But what's his name? Fukasaka.
I'm gonna fuck it all up if I even say it.
Fukasakaku?
I think it's
how do you spell it?
Fukasaku.
Fukasaku. Okay. Yeah. So, anyways, he directed a movie called. I actually contacted Arrow and I was like, dude, if you're gonna do this, then you need to do this too. It's called Sympathy for the Underdog. It's also known as Gamblers in Okinawa, and it's by the same director. I remember getting this because I was going through my phase trying to get my hands on every like Japanese film out there, and I got this on Netflix, and I didn't know like the year and stuff. I popped it in, and I thought it was a modern movie. And I was like, man, this movie looks so good. And then I realized it was like 1971. What the fuck? Like maybe 90s, but good Lord. But it's just so like, I don't know, they're timeless. That's the whole key to these, is that no matter, when you're watching them, they feel so like new and fresh.
But not the Godzilla movies. Those are stuck in the 70s. The ones in the 70s, they're in the 70s.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's one, but it's a different caliber of filmmaking. It's just that when they deal with the Yakuza, they get super serious. I mean, even films like, Stray Cat Rock and, the new Scorpion, female prisoner movies, they're all the same way. They're very, very serious. And they're out there. I think, kind of Battles Without Honor and Humanity and, Gamblers in Okinawa, that's a little bit different, other than maybe, Stray Cat Rock and Female Prisoner, because it's a different caliber of cinema. But I mean, everything that the Japanese has done, Koreans, they're on a totally different playing field other than like any other country. Yeah. Their action films, their dramas, they can do an action movie with minimal action and it's still action packed to me. Yeah. Like it's still more like edge of your seat type shit. I mean, even if you want to do the Americanized John Woo, I guess Americanized John Woo's Mission Impossible 3, but even his stuff
No,
like,
Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. I don't really care for it.
J.J. Abrams is 3.
Okay. You could be the Mission Impossible guru. I can't tell one from the other. And I just know De Palma did the first one, and that was my favorite.
Yeah.
But what was I saying since you interrupted me? What was I saying?
John Woo, action.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even John Woo action films, like The Killer and Better Tomorrow, Hard Boiled. I mean, those action sequences and those movies are phenomenal. Like, they're so fucking good. The setup, the choreography, not even so much the characters. It's just like camera movements, color schemes, just everything in these films just blend perfectly together. And it's a shame that they're not kind of represented or spoke about more. And luckily Arrow's going through and they're doing, Gangster Outlaw and, this set, they did Stray Cat Rock. So they're definitely bringing, they even had like Retaliation, earlier. What was the other one that they did? Because I think I enjoyed Retaliation. Massacre Gun.
Yeah.
I think Massacre Gun's the one I didn't like. I kind of liked Retaliation. But even those films, like, they're just not focused on enough. So it's nice to have Arrow, not focused solely on horror or action or anything like that. They kind of want to do everything.
Well, I was gonna say, like, between Criterion and Arrow, I got my Yakuza stuff covered, then I got my Samurai stuff covered.
Yeah.
So keep it up.
So,
I mean, I welcome those two genres. Like, keep that up.
Well, I've messaged them about Sympathy for the Underdog a few times, and I was like, "There's nothing out there like it." It's definitely in my like top 100.
Cool.
It's really fucking good. So you'll enjoy the rest of those because they just get better. I think Final Episode is a little weak, and Proxy War is, if I remember, is a little. They're the weaker ones, but they're not bad by any means.
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited to carve out some time and watch these. I'll probably get through it through the next month here. I'll be done with them.
Yeah.
And then I need to start the Criterion Zatoichi set.
Yeah, those movies come and go. Like, there's so many fucking Zatoichi movies.
It's crazy. The box set's ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, even that, there's more films outside that box set.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's fucking probably like 30 Zatoichi movies. And I'd say a really good one, aside from the goofy CGI, is the one that Beat Takeshi did.
Oh, yeah, that's solid, man. I like that one.
Yeah, that's a really, really good action movie, and Beat Takeshi did a fucking phenomenal job as being, Zatoichi.
Yeah, he's great.
And, that's another thing. His movies need to be revisited. I mean, if we can get some Sonatine on Blu-ray.
Oh, dude.
He's got some, he's a hard hitter too, man.
He's great, man. Everything he's in, I'll give it a shot. And he's in so many.
He's so intimidating, dude.
Yeah. Well, Battle Royale, I think, was the first time I actually really noticed him.
Yeah.
Cause he's in that, right? He plays the teacher.
Yeah. Well, he's like the announcer in the room and stuff. That's a perfect role for him because he really is, he's terrifying.
Yeah.
And, because he has a blank look.
Yeah.
He doesn't show emotion.
Yeah. There's a scene at the end, like when he just walks in, he just pops the kid, like he just shoots somebody and it's just like, no big deal. No big thing. I just killed a kid. But the look on his face is chilling because there's no emotion conveyed whatsoever. It's just the stone cold, just, I don't know, man. I
think
great.
he does the same thing like in Sonatine. He shoots somebody in the head. And then there's just a sequence where he stands there for like 30 seconds just looking at the body and then just walks away.
It's ridiculous, man.
It's insane. But I guarantee you, Battle Royale wasn't the first thing you've seen him in.
Well, probably not, but it was the first time I think I took note. I'm like, who the fuck is that guy? I need to look him up.
A lot of people, even my parents, have watched Beat Takeshi before. Do you know what he did?
What?
Like, that was Americanized? He was one of the hosts of the Japanese TV show that we made fun of, MXC.
Yes.
Like, that's a real TV show that wasn't funny, but we Americanized it and, like, dubbed over their,
Oh my god, that's the one where they do all those obstacle courses, right?
Yeah, and Beat Takeshi is one of the hosts in that show.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right, man. What's on your doorstep? You got anything? I've been rambling.
It's all right. That's every show, so there's like no different. I have a few things. I got around to watching another horror anthology.
Oh, God.
But this one wasn't that bad. I texted you about it. I was really scared at first because when this shit starts off, it says radical horror anthology. Like, it's the dark tapes, a radical horror anthology. And right then and there, if you're the filmmaker, I love you for making this movie because you did a good job. But my God, that fucking threw me for a loop. I'm like, no, I'm not watching this. I'm not watching anything that says radical.
I laughed so hard when he texted me that.
But anyways, I was like, you know what? I like horror anthologies. It's a found footage anthology, so it's kind of taking the VHS thing, which I was never that big of a fan of VHS. I mean, I like some of the segments, so I was like, I want to see, this. I will tell you that for a horror anthology found footage movie that's independent like this, they did a pretty cool job. The first segment is a little goofy, but it is a surprise. I think it's a cool little story. The second segment is fun. The kind of the story that's wrapping around everything is pretty cool. The special effects in this film, all these shorts, they're all by the filmmakers. It's not like a compilation of found footage shorts. They did just a really good job, filmmaking wise and special effect wise. Editing is really good. I could deal without the screeching, tracking sound noises that when shit happens. That just hurts people's ears, people. Just cut it out. Stop doing that. VHS, Viral did that so much. Where it was just so loud, loud noise of changing tapes or static going on. It was just come on, man. And they do that every once in a while, and it's kind of jarring. It actually takes you out of the movie. But for the most part, focusing solely on the movie, they did a great job. One of the segments where the girl is it's so fucking creepy, and it's so fucking good. And I'll kind of focus on that one alone. So there's this girl that is she's visited by these creatures at night, and they abduct her. So she runs away, and she's she is on a phone call and sends video messages to her friends saying, this has been happening. I found out a way to get around it. Because when they enter the realm or whatever, lights go out, electricity goes out, so she can't catch them on video. She can't take pictures of them. She kind of goes cold because, she freezes up because they have, control of her. And they, take her. So she has the bright idea to do it on, an 8mm camera. So it's not running off. No, not 8mm camera. What kind of camera is it? But anyways, it's a camera that doesn't involve batteries. So part of the found footage looks like old film. I'm not sure if they filmed it on old film. That would be super cool. I couldn't really tell because I was watching a digital copy, on my, on my television. It was kind of small too, because sometimes when you watch some of these, you plug in your HDMI on your computer to watch it on the big screen. It doesn't look all that great. So I couldn't really tell. You
gotta use Vimeo, and you gotta do the watch later thing, and use Vimeo on your TV or Xbox.
I do that, but this is not on Vimeo.
Oh.
So I was out of luck on that one, I think. Maybe it was. I don't remember. Either near there. So anyways, it's super creepy because the special effects on these creatures is fucking great. It's got the, really gritty, look to it. It's got the cranking sound. But all around a decent horror anthology, found footage, two things that are kind of overplayed to the fucking brim these days. But something came out that was, decent and watchable and likable, and, bravo to the filmmakers for making something tolerable these days to a subgenre that is so saturated with bullshit. Hopefully people recognize your movie when it comes out and not just falls to the wayside like everything else. I got around to watching Artsploitation's new film, since we were talking about their bunker on the show. I got around to watching Observance. Fun? Question mark. A decent kind of spin of Hitchcockian Rear Window. This guy who recently loses his family is hired as a private investigator to watch this woman. He seeks kind of refuge in a abandoned apartment across from her apartment, monitoring her from this, client that wants to keep tabs on her. But the client isn't very, upfront with him, talking to him or introducing himself. So it's always kind of fishy of what's happening. Can't really talk too much about it because it will give stuff away. So it's horror. It reminds me of The Ring a little bit too, like cinematography wise, like the gritty, grimy, slimy stuff that happens in The Ring. Very, very similar. Some great imagery. Some great cinematography there. A fun, decent, horror psychological thriller. Next up, I got around to watching Violent Shit the movie, which we talked about with Nico B on the show. His new lineup, Real Gore, releasing. He's got this one out, then he's got Mass, which I'm super excited about for the world to see because I'm a big fan of the movie.
Next week?
Next week? Super excited about it. I know it's going to get some slack. I know it will. I know people aren't going to like it. I know. And it's fine if you don't like it. It's not made for you. It's made for hardcore Giallo fans. And, hardcore, horror fans. If you don't like it, you don't have to say, I'm a hardcore horror fan. I didn't like it. That's fine. It's still not made for you. It's a special, kind of caliber of film that's, that's kind of out there. The same thing with Barbarian Sound Studio. A lot of people didn't like that. It's fine. It's okay. That movie kicks ass too. There's something about Giallo films that's super special and, they're very, very well made. The colors represent things. The music's a big part of it. Masks is kind of Suspiria like the plot. However, it's not a remake of Suspiria, which everybody's like, oh, this is like a wannabe remake of Suspiria. No, not really. Just because it takes place like at a theater doesn't mean it's Suspiria. But I got around, we're talking about violent shit. So I got around to watching I was under the interpretation in the last episode with Nico that he was releasing Violent Shit, the original movie, but this is actually a remake, which I was not prepared for. I heard it was kind of Giallo-esque. Claudio Simonetti did the soundtrack, so I was pumped. This movie is not for me. However, I think with big C-grade movie fans, there is something there. I think the people that like really trashy C cinema will love this movie. However, as I told Nico, I was excited about it, but I'm also on the fence with stuff like that. Sometimes this stuff appeals to me, the Murder Set Pieces movie, August Underground, Mortem and stuff. Those movies are not for me. I can safely say this movie's not for me. Violent Shit is in that group of those movies that are not for me.
So, what wasn't for you? I mean, was it this exploitation violent thing, or did not?
I don't mind. I don't mind.
What happened?
I don't mind that. It's like shoestring budget type things that I think that people watch these movies and enjoy them for the brutality. for the over-the-top gore and kind of the realism factor that lays behind it. How it feels real because it looks real, as far as like being so independent, like a home movie. I think that's the appeal to these movies. Violent shit has all of that. What violent shit doesn't have is, good actors, a good screenplay, and, it's just, I don't know, it seems like something. I watched a lot of low budget movies in the 80s. I was of course, living in the 90s when I was watching them in the 80s. But I'm saying 80s cinema. This is what it reminds me of. It reminds me of really cheap C-grade 80s cinema. But that's not knocking it. I don't want to knock it. I don't want to talk anybody out of watching it. But I will say this, if you find yourself liking what I like, I don't know if you'll like this. But if you find yourself liking stuff like Murder Set Pieces, August Underground stuff, Slaughtered Vomit Dolls and movies like that, then yes, there is a movie called Slaughtered Vomit Dolls, and it's a trilogy.
A trilogy?
If you like those movies, then 100% violent shit should be on your list 100%. But if seeing like a remake of violent shit, I don't know, man. I don't really consider this a remake. I consider this more like a re-envisioning of violent shit, which I don't even think I'd consider it a remake. I might be speaking out of turn on that one. But, it's give it a shot. Let me know what you think. But I can safely say this movie is not for me. So, but I will be supporting the fuck out of Masks. Because I love that movie to death. Did you just fall down?
No, I just killed a spider.
Why would you kill a spider?
Because it was crawling down the wall right towards me.
Why would you kill a spider?
Oh my god. My life was flashing in front of my eyes.
But why would you kill a spider? They're really good to have around.
This is crawling right at me, Brad. Have you seen Arachnophobia?
Was it a black widow?
No, it's just a black house spider, but that's irrelevant.
Well, I'll let you safely know. Not safely, no. I don't know why I said that. But I will tell you that beside my front door, I have a nest of daddy longlegs. And I leave them there. Every day I look at them as I leave the house. They're actually inside, by the way. They're not outside. Because I don't have the heart to kill spiders, especially daddy longlegs. That you want to see one bug in our house? Bitch, you won't see a fucking fly. You won't see an ant. You won't see anything in our house. A roach. Which people are like, oh God, we have roaches in your house, you're dirty. This is fucking Florida. Roaches are neighbors in Florida. It doesn't mean you're dirty. If you don't have roaches, that means you're probably poor because you don't have any food in the house for the roaches to eat. We have a thing called palmetto bugs. It's kind of terrifying because it's roaches that fly.
Holy shit. Are you serious?
Yeah, man, they're called look it up.
All I remember is when I used to tour with this band, we always knew we were hitting the South because like our windshield of the bus would just be plastered full of just bugs.
Yeah, there's so many bugs in Florida. It's really nasty because it's like love bugs and shit like that, dude. There's just millions of them. But palmetto bugs, dude, they're pretty terrifying because they're about 2 to 3 times the size of a roach, but they have wings and they weigh about it feels like a fucking pound when they hit you in the head because they just fly around. But it's terrifying when you see a roach that starts to fly. But yeah, man, I refuse to kill those spiders because number one, I can't kill anything. I'm a big softie. I'll take a fly outside.
What?
Yeah, dude. I'm not
Flies
into
are on
killing.
my shit list.
See, I'm not. The only thing I can kill comfortably is a wasp because I'm scared to death of getting stung, or a bee. I will spray the fuck out of a wasp that kills their nervous system, and then they are in pain for an hour before they die.
So you torture these guys, but.
I could torture a wasp, but I can't bring it.
But give you a work, so you're gonna let a spider live and a fly live.
Hey, I tell you what, there's probably about 6 of them out there, and they just stick there the whole day. They got little webs. People are like, oh my God, you're crazy. No, it's like, I don't have bugs. And literally, daddy longlegs don't like come out in the open. They stay like in their web. They don't go anywhere.
I don't have bugs either because I pay a guy to come and spray the shit out of my house.
We do. Yeah, we have Orkin come out and they spray our house, but that's mostly for sweet ants because sweet ants is a huge problem in Florida.
We are getting off track.
We are, aren't we? How do we get on this?
We will be talking to the director of Der Bunker, Nikias Chryssos, very soon. I forgot to say what we were doing today, but we need to get to that. So, do you have anything else, Brad? Are you done talking about violent shit?
I'm done talking about violent shit.
You know what? Here's my question. How is the soundtrack? Is that at least
the soundtrack is really good. It just doesn't fit the movie.
Okay.
That's the only bit, because you're like, man, this is a really good soundtrack.
Because the set comes with the soundtrack, so.
Yeah, I'm keeping, obviously, the set. I mean, I think that's one thing I will give Nico B and Real Gore releasing.
It's a gorgeous set, man.
It's a really great box art. It has a great, 25-page booklet.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the soundtrack, the transfer is great. It's got a lot of special features, so it's definitely worth the money. Because I think they're really playing part to kind of the collecting community. So I hope it does well. It's just like I said, it's definitely not for me.
Well, I'll be watching it soon. I'll weigh in soon because I want to do a write up on this and masks for the site. So I'll be getting to it.
So, but other than that, I mean, watch Class of 1999. Watch Asylum Blackout. Watch, Raiders of Atlantis.
Okay.
I mean, I think that's
all right.
Hey,
okay.
A cool thing is this Best Run video series is coming.
I know, man.
Lionsgate owns Class of 1999.
I know. I think we're going to hear something soon.
And they also own Slaughter High.
Yep.
So, and there are prints of both of those films that are still in existence.
It's going to be a good, if those aren't announced this year, it's going to be a good 2017. We're going to have a lot of good stuff next year. All right, man. Well, let's get to this interview.
Okay.
If you haven't seen Der Bunker, check out Der Bunker. I mean, I think the bottom line is it's a great
spoiler-free episode. It's spoiler-free.
No, it is, but I'm telling you right now, just buy this thing. I think it's Artsploitation's strongest release yet. It's a great, weird little movie, and we do talk it up in the interview, but it's like legit. Like we weren't praising the film just because we're talking to the director. It's a fantastic film, so make sure you support the Artsploitation release so we get more releases like this. Because I think Artsploitation's onto something with their lineup. They're one of those labels that deserves, I think, just a little more love. We will be talking to Nikias Chryssos in just a little bit, but first, Josh Obershaw has the news. Josh Obershaw, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, Sean? Hello, everybody out there.
It's going good. We've had a few things happen, so as far as news-related material, so what's up, man?
Well, it's just a little all over the place, but some good stuff nonetheless. Why don't we start with Scream Factory, because we actually got some last-minute news, and this is going to be an update on Dreamscape.
Nice.
That one is going to be coming out on December 13th, or planned for December 13th, because we know sometimes these things change, but that's cool. But anyways, it's going to be a collector's edition. The newly commissioned artwork is going to be by Paul Shipper, who did the front art for Scream Factory's collector's edition of The Thing and also Mad Max.
Very nice.
And the bonus features are still in progress right now, but Scream Factory says that those are going to be announced sometime in October. So when we get those, we'll pass those over to you guys. And something else we want to update you on, and I know this is one that everybody is excited for, especially me, Black Christmas.
Yes.
And that one is planned for December 6th. And this is going to be a 2-disc collector's edition. And the guy who's going to be doing the art for that is Joel Robinson, who did Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 from earlier this year. And also he's got artwork for the upcoming Bubba Hotep. And also the bonus features are still in progress for this, and those will also be announced sometime in October. So we'll let you know what those are, and I'll be sure and let you guys see the artwork on our site soon. Now, we have one other bonus feature for another collector's edition that's coming out very soon, and that's Carrie. They have an interview with composer Pino Donaggio, who, of course, has done other work like, of course, The Howling is probably the big one people know, but also Dress to Kill. Very, very good stuff. So that's going to be included in all the other bonus features they got for the 40th anniversary edition of Carrie. And also for their original production, Fender Bender, they've announced some bonus features for that. By the way, Fender Bender comes out on Blu-ray and DVD on October 4th. But here's a bonus feature that I'm really interested in seeing how this is going to play out. It's called it's a retro VHS version of the film, in which you can watch the film in a recreated mode that takes you back to the 1980s in the heyday of VCRs.
Wow. And
there's also going to be a slashback trailer reel, which is a collection of vintage Scream Factory branded slasher previews. This runs about 40 minutes.
And this movie is like is a new movie, right?
Yes.
But they're just doing yeah, they could be cool or it could be not cool. We'll see. I guess we'll see how creative they got with the VHS version.
Yeah, I know some people are kind of tired of the whole throwback thing, but in this case, I don't know. I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, if it's done well and it's fun, like I still don't mind the for Grindhouse. Like I still don't mind that, you know. But you know, sometimes they just use just a filter, you know, that comes with just a standard filter, and it's, you know, it's the same pattern over and over again. But you know, if they get creative with it, you know, if it's creative and works with it, I'm totally fine. But yeah, but I'm not interested in the movie at all. Like I just have no desire to see it, so I'll have to wait and see what people start saying about it before I make my decision to, and I'm sure if it's a contemporary one, it'll be on streaming on Netflix very soon, or their own, they have their own, channel, they have their own app, streaming app, so I'll check it out at some point.
That's true. Yeah. Fair enough. Okay, well that's it for the Scream Factory news. Some other random tidbits I want to let you know about. This year's movie Lights Out is going to be out on Blu-ray on October 25th, courtesy of Warner Brothers Home Video, and the only bonus feature for that is going to be a selection of deleted scenes. So Lights Out comes out October 25th, in time for Halloween. And next up, we told you some time ago that Kino Lorber were going to be putting out The Pit. Well, The Pit is actually going to be the first title in a new sub-label that they're doing called Kino Repertory. And it's going to be just a little sub-label for, I guess, classic and cult films. Like some of the other films they're going to be putting out are Philip Kaufman's The Wanderers, which is a 1979 gang drama based upon Richard Price's first novel. And some other movies like Seven Beauties and Swept Away. I'm sure that is not the new Swept Away that came out in the early 2000s, but something to look out for to see what this new little niche label that Kino Lorber's setting up. Next up, for some really strange craziness, Slime City is coming out on Blu-ray, and it's actually going to be paired up with its 2010 sequel, Slime City Massacre. The label Camp Motion is going to be putting this out, and it's going to have a lot of bonus features on it. I mean, it's not only going to have the two movies, but there's also going to be a director commentary, 2 additional director commentaries, an original trailer, Grindhouse collection trailer for Slime City, and some behind-the-scenes featurettes, and an interview with Slime City Massacre composer. It just says Mars. I don't know much about the sequel. I've never seen the original movie, but I know even less about the sequel. But I'm definitely interested in checking this out. I mean, if it's anything like Street Trash, then I'm automatically in.
Cool.
And last week, we told you guys that the original Dawn of the Dead was getting a 4K restoration. Well, now there's another classic movie that's getting a 4K restoration, and this time it's Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. And it's going to be making its premiere in theaters. It's going to premiere in Chicago on October 15th. They're going to be partnering, Dark Skies is going to be partnering, Dark Sky, singular. It's going to be partnering up with the Chicago Film Festival for this whole regalia with a Q&A with star Michael Rooker and director John McNaughton. And it's going to be re-released in 20 cities nationwide on October 21st. So when we get the exact dates for that, it's going to premiere in New York on the 21st, and then it's going to premiere in Los Angeles 1 week later on the 28th. And McNaughton is supposed to be at both of those premieres. But as soon as we get a list of theaters, we'll let you know when that's coming out. So I don't know, Sean, what do you think about all these classic movies now getting 4K restorations? Do you think it's directly in response to Phantasm, or is this just a happy coincidence for us?
Maybe. I mean, I think it depends on the movie. Like Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, I never upgraded to Blu-ray even, just because it's just so grungy looking, and I just didn't feel the need, I guess, for it to be, necessarily HD. Like, it's so. I mean, I think it was shot on 16 millimeter. I think.
I believe so.
So it was so grainy anyway, and it just felt so grungy. I just, I had no desire to really see it in HD. And I heard the HD transfer was okay, but there's so much grain and everything that a lot of the stuff that I read about the transfer wasn't that great. I'd be interested in checking it out. It's one of those movies that I just have a hard time rewatching. I've seen it once, and it's just, that was enough for me. So, but a movie like that, like, it's shot on 16 millimeter. I don't know if 4K will really do it that much justice. I mean, I guess if it still looks like film, I mean, it's not going to be pristine, but I guess as long as it still retains the film quality of the intended quality, I'd check it out. But this was a weird one for me for a 4K. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. It just seems a little counterproductive to what the movie is going for.
But I mean, I'm all for it though. I mean, if it looks good,
if it finds a whole new
right,
if it finds a whole new audience, that's definitely a benefit of doing something like this.
Yeah, yep, and if that's what it takes for a new generation to find these films, that's great. That's perfect for me.
Cool. Well, another movie that's going to be getting an upgrade for Blu-ray this time, not in theaters, Dario Argento's Opera.
Yeah.
And it looks like Scorpion Releasing is going to be producing this one with Code Red putting it out. And they're predicting that it's going to be a 3-disc. When I say they, I mean Scorpion Releasing. They've been remastering the movie, and they predict that it'll be a 3-disc set and possibly a steelbook. So that's all the info we have right now, but we'll probably be getting more of this one soon. So, yeah, Opera is coming soon.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. I mean, I know that Walt runs Scorpion, Bill runs Code Red.
Right.
The Olsen twins, as Brad has said. But they help each other out in some capacity. Like, it's a bit weird. I think Walt's handling the restoration process, and he's pretty much producing it, but Code Red, I guess, owns the rights. So they must have something worked out where Walt's really helping this, get the best release he can get. Because, Bill comes across as kind of, a weirdo and stuff online and everything, but he's not an he's not an idiot. Like, he knows this is his chance to really, sell some movies, sell some Blu-rays. Cause he's always worried about stock and everything and always kind of complaining about things don't sell. Like, this one's gonna sell. So,
definitely.
He needs to do it right, and it sounds like with Walt kind of overlooking this, it's gonna be done right. The Steelbook is hit or miss. If they can not do the Steelbook and keep the cost down, I don't want another Synapse like $40 to $50 release, Those things were tough for me to swing into to get the Demons set and even Tenebrae. I already owned the Arrow one, so I didn't feel like I needed to get the full, spend $40. I've already spent $20 on that movie, so, but Opera I don't own. So maybe I would spend that much, but Steelbooks are okay. The hardcore collectors like them. I just want the movie and the special features. So if they can trim off $10 out of my, if I can save $10 and it's a standard case, I'm good with that. It's just a case. I want the movie. But this sounds like this is going to be a good release. And the remaster, the person handling the remaster has handled a lot of other companies like Scream Factory and things like that. So they know they have the right people doing the right work. So I'm excited for it.
Exactly. So am I. And finally, we got a little sneak peek at what Vinegar Syndrome is going to be putting out in the near future. And it's going to be 3 movies starring none other than Linnea Quigley.
Mm-hmm.
And those movies are Nightmare Sisters, Deadly Embrace, and Murder Weapon. And these are all, of course, directed by David DeCocteau. I hope I'm saying that right. This is the guy who directed Sorority Babes and the Slimeball Bolorama. With that, everyone goes, oh, okay, that guy, okay. What's interesting is that 2 of these movies, Nightmare Sisters is directed by DeCocteau, but the other 2 movies are under a pseudonym, Ellen Cabot. I just thought that was really, really interesting when I was looking these up. But anyways, that's apparently, quote, they're approved. He, quote, approved the beautifully restored and color corrected camera negative 2K scan, so they're all going to be in 2K. And it says they're coming this Halloween. So it looks like we'll be getting those in the near future. When we get more news on that, we'll let you know. So it looks like that's going to be it for this week, Sean. What do you think?
Awesome, man. Some good stuff. I'm excited about it. A lot of good things to look forward to. We're all going to be broke in October. We're going to have to make some tough choices, I think.
We're going to be broke from now until the end of the year.
I know. It's
not going to stop with Halloween.
It's getting to be tough to be a collector, just because there's so much good stuff. So I've felt the pinch. I've had to make the hard choices on like, am I going to buy this movie or not? So if it's going to happen the next few years, this is kind of ramping up, I think, and we're all going to be in the same boat. So choose wisely, everyone.
Agreed.
All right, Josh.
Or at least drown your sorrows. Whatever works for you.
Right. Yeah. Or hey, go for that raise.
Yep. Push harder for that.
There you go. All right, Josh. Thanks, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Not a problem. See you guys next week.
One of this year's biggest surprises for me was the film Der Bunker, directed by Nikias Chryssos. And it's out on Blu-ray right now by Artsploitation Films. And I absolutely adored the film. And we actually have Nikias on the Skype with us right now.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Nice to be here. Yeah.
Man, I had heard about this film because I think Brad had talked about it a couple times before I had mentioned it, and
yeah, I saw it at Fantastic Fest.
That's right. Yeah,
2015. So
I've been hearing about this thing for a year, and I finally got to see it. And this thing the film was such a pleasant surprise. I think that I'm hoping this is one of Artsploitation's. I hope this is a hit for them. I know a lot of people have been talking about it, and now that it's out for everyone to see, everyone's been excited about it. So I just wanted to thank you up front for this movie, man. I really, really loved it.
Thank you. It makes me really happy to hear that.
yeah, I dug it quite a bit when I saw it at Fantastic Fest. Eric Bressler, who works for Artsploitation, he was like, you got to see the bunker, and I was like, all right, whatever. So I went. It's fucking weird, man, and that's the type of shit I wanted to see, And Fantastic Fest does play a lot of weird, artsy fartsy type thing, and this just appealed to me in every which way. Mainly because one of the lead was in Der Samurai, which we really, really loved, and so I was happy to see him return. But man, it's just so quirky and weird. And I mean, I really hope that if you like weird and quirky cinema, I mean, this is definitely something that should be on everybody's radar. So my first question is, how fucked up are you, and how,
Very generous.
how'd you come up with this, Der Bunker?
I wrote it in the institution, how do you call it, like the mental asylum. It was a task to let me out, was to do some creative work, show that you're capable of returning to society, and then I came up with this. No, I mean, it's not autobiographic, thank God, because the story is about education and the pressure of family life, you could say, and there's a lot of spanking involved. So I'm happy that I wasn't brought up that way. But at the time I wrote the story, I just felt very free in a way, to deal with kind of all these different themes and the different strange characters and what happens when they all come together in this weird environment. And I was also playing, with different kind of genres. I never really said, okay, this will be a comedy, this will be strictly a horror movie or something like that. But I tried to let it grow organically, and in that way I felt very free, and it was fun to just play around with these different elements.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I guess I love the most about it was the fact that you couldn't just pigeonhole it into a genre. It was definitely inspired by different genre, but it kind of skirted kind of all the the sidelines of all these different genres and blended them all together. I mean, the quirky sense of humor is there, but it's not. It all exists, I guess, organically in this world.
It's not like bubblegum pop or slapstick or anything like that.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of like Adam Rifkin shit that he did like in the 90s and everything like that. It's just it fits, but it is kind of jarring, but it's almost like situational as well. It's clever. That's what it is.
I just had a question. All of a sudden, like
I'm sorry, Sean. I derailed the conversation.
No.
My apologies.
No. What did you draw from any inspirations in particular with the film, or did you just kind of write this and let it kind of take its own, turns? How did you approach, I guess, the writing of it?
I think there are different elements. Like one was, I was interested in doing like a one set movie, one location movie in a way. So I had to think of my grandparents. They had a holiday home in Switzerland, and they had this kind of basement, which was kind of a bunker. I think it was built in the 50s or 60s. So it was still the time of the Cold War, and for whatever reason, I think in Switzerland we've always built like a kind of bunker. I mean, in the end, they stored their, the skiing equipment there and all this stuff. It was never used in any situation like that. But I thought it would be fun if you have a character who's renting a nice room somewhere in nature, and he basically gets locked into the basement. And so I had the idea of this location, and I had the idea of the character, and then I was thinking, okay, what does he encounter on the way? Maybe he meets like a mysterious hitchhiker, or maybe he meets this kind of strange couple, like a hillbilly couple or something. And then I thought, oh, what if this couple has a son? And that was the birth of Klaus, in a way. And I was always quite interested in the topic of education, because I think it's very crucial how we are brought up, and I think it tells us a lot about society, what kind of pressure we put on our children, or how free we let them grow up. And that somehow came with this topic of the family, and suddenly all these elements were there, and I just mixed them and started to develop the story.
So as far as the education thing, goes, there's a lot of spanking.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of spanking, yeah.
With the spanking imagery in the film, I mean, is that representing or doing any, like, because I mean, obviously it means something, and being that said that you said the film is about education.
Mm-hmm.
Like not capital punishment. What am I trying to say? What they used to do, corporal punishment.
Mm-hmm.
So the corporal punishment, as they did in schools, is that like being how the film's set? Because that's immediately what I thought is, back in the day, like, in the 50s and 60s, teachers were allowed to hit, students, give them spankings and things like that. Is anything with corporal punishment that's enforcing education behind that?
Yeah, in a way. I mean, I think things like these, there may be some sort of exaggerated images for a certain kind of education, or also a certain kind of drilling that you can have in either a family or a school system. And I mean, I definitely remember friends who were spanked as kids, and I think it does a lot of harm to children. But if you look back, as you say, in the 50s or something, it was considered very normal, or let's say my grandmother, she was left-handed, and they forced her, to write with the right hand and all these things. So that's things that really changed over time. And I think here it's just a strong image, because a lot of stuff here happens through physical contact, the punishment through spanking, and the rewards through kind of physical closeness, which is almost, or it's very, very weird, how the relationship between the mother and the son, so the rewards come through sexual ways maybe, and I wanted to play with that. And I remember that I really was not a big fan of being in high school, I think that's probably pretty normal, but I remember that I often thought, why do we have to learn this stuff, and we just learn for some kind of test, and afterwards everybody forgets it immediately because you're not really interested in it. And so it's also kind of a satire maybe on this kind of learning by heart, which I guess now is even a bit, I think now it's important to learn about, to reflect about things, but maybe not so much, it's a big joke that he has to learn the capitals of the world, the son and the family, but it's not allowed to go outside. It's kind of very useless to know all those cities, but he's kind of they think if he knows that, then he's prepared in a way to for some kind of political job or something like that, and go out and so.
That's another question, is with just how comedies are today. And, scripted comedies, they don't feel natural. It does feel scripted. It feels, everything is beat by beat is planned, and it's all about timing. How much freedom did you give your actors in this film? Because everything just feels like it flows, like it's actually them. You came up with maybe the situation, but how much did you just let them improv or kind of do their own thing?
We did a lot of improv, and we talked a lot about the story before the shoot. Because I was really very early in the process, I knew who should play the roles of the characters, and I talked to the actors about the roles, about the stories. We came up with bits of dialogue or things that the actors could do. With Daniel Friepan, who plays Klaus, I even went to his old elementary school, and we spent a day in class so he could look at like the how the children interacted and pick up little things they do for his role. And we read the script together, and we rehearsed, and we tried out things. But then in the shoot, we didn't improvise so much. There was, because of the timing, there was not so much improvisation in the end. But I think because we had so much time before we started shooting, I think that maybe that's the sense that you get, that there's kind of a good flow between the actors. And I also knew them quite well, so I think that definitely helped. I mean, when I started the project, I thought maybe I just write a kind of I do an outline of scenes without any dialogue. I completely improvised the dialogue on the set while we shoot, but in the end, it was kind of a complete script.
It works for sure. Yeah, I mean that's exactly what it feels like, and that's, like I said, there's way too many comedies these days where everything is cued to the millisecond. Like they know exactly what they're going to do and say. And it just doesn't feel natural. It all feels scripted. And that's why I don't really find comedies all that funny anymore. That's why this stuff appeals to me. And plus just the weirdness of it even amplifies, all of that.
Yeah. I think also maybe it has to do with structure. I think a lot of comedy today, you know the kind of structure, the way they set up a story, and the heroes in the end, they separate and then they come together for the showdown. And so there are a lot of also things that you can anticipate just by the structure. And sometimes it works if the rest of the story is really original, but sometimes if the dialogue or the scenes itself are not very interesting, then it makes it even less funny if you easily know where the story is going, I guess.
I really enjoyed the fact that you got 4 actors working off each other here, and I love the contained, how the movie is contained, the kind of the one location films and things like that. Pitt Bukowski, he plays the student, and I've seen him, like we said, in Der Samurai. Where did you find Daniel Friepan?
Yeah.
Where did you find him? Because seems like a very interesting. He could be a character actor, but I don't. He just did such a great job. Where's he been hiding out?
Yeah, he's actually been hiding. So we did a short film together a couple of years ago, and he usually is kind of typecast for tough characters usually,
Okay.
Even in my short film, he played like the mean older brother who's kind of messing with his smaller brother, abusing him, sending him around to collect money and stuff like that. And, but in real life, he's a very funny and lovable guy. And I always thought, it's such a shame he always plays those tough characters. And, so when I had the idea for the story, I thought it would be great to work with him and, let him play the kid, because I really didn't want, I didn't want to work with children, with real children, because,
I have 3 kids. You don't want to, it's fine.
I guess. So you probably know what I'm talking about. So I thought, okay, what happens if an older actor plays this role? And of course it also makes it more abstract in a way. And, I met him, I hadn't seen him, in a couple of years, and I said, hey, Danny, do you think you could play a kid, 8-year-old? And he kind of jumped on my lap and hugged me and looked at me, and that was our casting. And for me, it was just really a great when we did the costume test, and I saw him in his outfit, I saw him in his pajamas, I saw him wearing the wig for the first time and kind of transform into Klaus. And I think he did a really great job. He's kind of the center figure of the movie.
Yeah. I mean, the reveal of him to our main character, because we see him early in the film already, but the reveal of him to this to student is great, where is just great. And then when he's been put out into the little, I guess their yard or whatever, and he's out there because he's in trouble.
Exactly.
The way he kind of, just the body language of him peeking in. I mean, it was just, it was great. And yeah, not casting a child in the role really, I think, made it even better. Just because it's just so much weirder.
Exactly. It's weird, and you don't really know what he is, you know. Is he an adult playing, they like put in small clothes? Is he like really some distorted kid? Is he something else? And I think that there's a weird feeling of easiness at the same time he's kind of cute, I think. So I think that's like a weird, and so for me he's also just an image at the same time for someone who's not allowed to grow up naturally or normally, you know, and that's why he became Klaus, I guess.
And then Una von Maydell plays the mother, and then David Scheller plays the father. Is Una that tall in real life?
No, she wears very high heels. You know, she has the thing with the leg in the movie, and we gave her like we found some designer high heel shoes that are really, how do you say this, clunky or something like that. You know, they make a lot of sound on the wooden floor, and that's why she seems so tall. And yeah, I mean, Daniel Klipan is not very tall, so there's a nice contrast between the two. Yeah.
Now, did you have casting calls for the mother and father with them, or did you have them in mind when?
I had them all in mind. With all the male actors in the movie, I did short films before. Okay. And Una, I also knew sometimes she's working as an artist, and we did a song together for another project. So I knew her well, and that really helped imagining the characters, that I could picture them really well and knew about the little things they do, and it just helped imagining them in the roles.
Yeah. And this is the type of film that you can even adapt as like a stage. I mean, it feels very stage play, you know, in a sense. Yeah. And that's what I always worry about with like these single location films. Like there's a lot of films that get made from a stage play into a film, and it's like single location. I mean, I know there's let's see, well, there's the movie Bug, and then, that
was a play. Okay.
Yeah, that was a play, and then those you can always kind of tell they're adapted. But that's what's great, and that's always my fear. I think with a single location film, is it going to feel, you know, is that going to be a limit to the film? Yeah. But thankfully we've had 10 Cloverfield Lane, which is pretty much a single location movie. It kind of, you know, the ending, it kind of ditches that and does its own thing. And then Der Bunker, example of a great single location film. Was it based off of just kind of getting a movie done, budget, or is this the type of thing you'd want to do again?
Yeah, well, I think I would like now to step out of the bunker. I think David Scheller, who plays the father, he said, okay, what are we doing next? Like The Cell or something, you know, can we get smaller, you know, or The Elevator or something? And the next movie would definitely be bigger in scale, I hope. And at the same time, there was a couple of reasons. One was that I had seen some interesting movies shot in one location, and I thought it would be interesting to try that out. Then I also definitely for budget reasons, because I thought, okay, that's a movie we can shoot where we don't need that big of a budget, but we have a lot of control about the environment. So we are completely independent from anything else, and we can just work very creatively with our set. At the same time, that was definitely a challenge. You know, how do we make it interesting if we are stuck in this place for 85 minutes or something? How do we make it interesting? How can we work with the lighting? How can we work with the set? And how do we build up atmosphere? And we try to achieve that with different means, like working with different lighting setups for day and night, even though that's not really that motivated, you know, in the underground mansion, but we still work with it. You know, in the mornings it's less contrast, and in the evenings it's like you have more contrast and things like that, and also give all the different rooms different colors and different vibes, and then in the end make it kind of a bit more nightmarish and all these things. So that was a challenge, but it was I was quite happy because we had a really great production design team and cinematographer, and we had like all the equipment we needed, and so we had all the freedom to create this little world underground.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as a first time, this is your first feature, correct?
Yes, yes.
Now, as far as doing your shorts going into features, I mean, a big part of that choosing the one location was was this something that you are? How should I put this? Is that obviously the one location is cheaper, as far as that, but as a filmmaker, I think choosing one location is very, very smart if your movie is good, of course, which obviously Der Bunker is. So proving yourself is, I think, a big situation, because a lot of people take those shorts and try to make them into features as one location. We've seen it numerous times, and sometimes it just doesn't work as a feature length movie. So doing this first by choice, was that kind of your main goal, is to say, hey, I can do one location, I can make it a good movie, and prove to you that I can do something else? Was that kind of your intention, or was it just, hey, I'm going to do this movie?
I had at the time, I had, I think, 2 projects, and I said, okay, I will do the project, like one was bigger, and that was probably the one that I could do with less money. And, I think that's where we got the money first. So, that was a bit pragmatical, in that sense. But on the other way, I found it was really cool to do this that way, because it gave us a lot of freedom, also with the space and with the limited room. And, I think sometimes it's better to to focus on maybe a smaller scale and try to make it really good, than to be in that way over ambitious in the proportions, and then it looks really cheap because you don't have the budget to do it right, or the screenplay does not carry like what you try to achieve also. So there were many reasons to do it like that. I think even in the beginning, it was a bit, the whole place was not really underground, even though the movie was always called Der Bunker, but it was more this kind of fairy tale house in the woods, this little house. And we find one place where we shoot everything, and only the basement where the student gets put, that's the bunker. But in the end, of course, we combined all kinds of different locations. I think in the end it was a mixture of maybe 4 different locations that we used for the film, even though it just takes place in one house.
Now, for as far as first time filmmaker getting out there, is there any big influences, like as far as American cinema or German cinema, like as kind of a newcomer? What inspires you? Not inspires Der Bunker, but just as a filmmaker in general. What made you want to get into filmmaking?
That's a good question. I think my kind of first memories of cinema, and even as a child, I think, for example, King Kong. I have no idea why, but this, the old King Kong, the black and white King Kong, that's something that really fascinated me at the time. I probably hadn't even seen the movie, and even as a kid, I had a poster of Casablanca in my room, the movie with Humphrey Bogart, which is definitely not a kid's film, and I think I saw it when I was around 8 years old, and of course I didn't really understand anything of the story. I was just kind of fascinated of this character, I think, of Humphrey Bogart. So they're real, I think, weird associations sometimes, when you grow up, what interests you. And, later I watched films like the Polanski, what's the movie, like the Fearless Vampire Killers, I think. That's one of his pretty early, films and, stuff like that. So there was a big, I think, love and interest for genre cinema, and then later stuff like The Goonies, Nightmare on Elm Street, Die Hard, Jackie Chan movies. That was kind of the films I liked in my youth. And I think I was fascinated also by horror early, because when you're around maybe 11, 12, it's really hard, especially at the time, to get those movies, to get hold of the movies. You have to fake your parents' idea somehow, and then order, I don't know, a movie like Brain Dead by Peter Jackson or Evil Dead or something, you know, because they were not so easy to get hold of on VHS at the time. And there was always this element of seeing something that you're not really allowed to see yet and all these things. So I think horror really fascinated me as a kid. And then, of course, later it was movies from everything from Werner Herzog, Stanley Kubrick, David Lynch, Tarkovsky, like a lot of, suddenly started to watch a lot of art house films and something. And I think for me it was always important, or what I don't like is to make kind of a, you know, that you say there's like a sophisticated, like a art house cinema and other movies, they're like entertainment movies or trash movies, you know, they have less worth or something, or they are just pulp. I never really liked this difference, which is very easy, I think, in German, cultural reception, you know, that you say, okay, this is high art and this is just trash or entertainment. And I never really liked that, you know. I think for me something is interesting or appealing or a good movie, and, for many different reasons the film can be a good movie.
How is this, because this played at, I think, the Berlin Film Festival, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
How is this received? Because I'm assuming it was, you know, played in a few places in Europe first before it came over here. How was it received, I guess, in Berlin or in Germany in general?
Yeah, that was very interesting because when we finished the film, we didn't show it to anybody or almost nobody while we were editing. So it was very hard to tell us, to tell for us how it would be received and if anybody would like it, or if people would just say it's weird, or it even works, you know, or if people say, hey, what is this? You know, who is this guy, this alien guy in the pajamas, or what's up? I mean, whatever, you know. And then I think the first real screening we did was for the team, and that was only 1 week before the Berlin premiere. So I was really nervous, of course, and I was so relieved that the team really liked it, you know, and that was the first and most important thing for me, because they were the ones who had made it possible. They had worked to make this movie happen, and that they like it was a big relief. And then there was the festival premiere and everything, and you know, you have the press screenings before, and the first feedback we got from our press agent was, let's say, confused, you know. I think the first kind of feedback we got was, they don't really know what to make of it in a way, you know. Are you being serious? Do you just want to provoke? Do you just want to be silly? Does this film have something to say? We don't really know what this is, you know. And I remember the night after the premiere, I woke up and I read like a really good review, and that was like the first real review I read, and I was so relieved and happy in a way, because I thought, okay, there's one review that really kind of gets what was important to me, and that really likes the film, and I thought, okay, if nothing else happens to this film, I always have this review, you know. So if the film is never screened again, I have this review. I can put it on my fridge or whatever. But thank God it was not like that. It was really well received, and I think it happened because after that it went to a lot of different festivals, and later then in the US we had the premiere at Fantastic Fest, and it went to a lot of other festivals, and it kind of, through the festivals, it also built a reputation. So it came out in German theaters, and this year, and it's now out in DVD in Germany as well, and we got really good press, and I'm pretty happy about that, because it's kind of the strange and weird film. But I think especially many people here, many critics, were also happy that something else comes from Germany, you know. Normally you have this kind of history dramas or social realistic story, or films about Nazi Germany or something, you know, and that there's this kind of colorful film, I think, that was also, you know, just seen as doing something different, doing something in a genre direction, but also with something a bit anarchistic in a way, you know. And I think we are really quite happy with all the feedback we've gotten so far.
Well, I think like the problem is, I think in even like through this, seeing how movies were put out into theaters this summer and everything. I mean, it seems like movies, even ones that are supposed to be more independent, are they kind of go through the ringer of, you know, test screenings and that whole thing. And I feel like we've gotten to the point where there's just so many of those that it almost takes the spark and life blood like out of some of these movies, especially if they have a director and a writer who want to try to inject their own voice into these films. Like these films kind of like that voice kind of gets slowly edited out and I mean, that's more, I guess, more in like mainstream Hollywood, but I think that movies like this are so appealing because it's just so out of left field, and you can tell this is completely like an artist's an interpretation of a story. You know what I mean? Like this is a piece of art that is untainted in a way by all these outside forces. So, yeah. I mean, because we could do it so independently, and it was this kind of, let's say, a bit, outrageous premise or whatever. You know, we knew we had to do it independently, but then we did it independently, and we had all the freedom, you know, to not try to make it something that it isn't, you know, and just let it be itself in a way. Because, of course, I think if you make your first feature, or even if you make an independent film, now there's also a lot of pressure, you know. I mean, there are now many, at least in the US, you know, many indie directors making the jump to mainstream movies very early, or after one movie maybe, and which is great in a way, but it's just a question, you know, what your kind of career path is. You know, do you want to use your first movie, you know, to get like a bigger job, or do you want to keep developing your kind of filmic language or whatever? So or do you try to do both things, which is also great, of course. But I guess it's just a very competitive market for people, and that's why they do these tests and test screenings and all these things, you know. Yeah.
Now, as far as the German release, like how wide was the German release in Germany?
It was a small theatrical release, so it was playing mostly, you know, in kind of small art house cinemas, but it went to, I don't know, it went all over Germany, like in basically all, probably not in every village, but in all medium-sized city, you know, at least at some point you could see the film. But it's a small release, you know, it didn't play in, let's say, kind of, blockbuster chains or something, you know, and it was even hard to get the movie, to find a distributor for the movie, because, I think the main problem, and I think on the day that the film started, I think there were 17 other movies starting on the same day. So it's just really, tough for a movie like this to find like a big audience. And for us, the theatrical release was also mainly, almost like an instrument to get more attention for the DVD release and all that later, because you get more press if the movie is released theatrically and all that, and you can gain kind of more attention. But in the end, I think the main life the film will have is on DVD and probably through internet and all these different channels.
I hope so. I mean, a lot of people this week have been, as far as social media goes, really championing the film, and that's been really cool to see. So, what's next for you now? Do you have a few projects you're working on?
Yes, I have.
Talk about?
Yeah, a little bit. I have two projects. One is set in a religious community. It's a story of a brother and a sister who they kind of drift apart, and the brother tries to save his sister from the leader of the cult. And it's a story we want to shoot in English, and we are at the moment working on the cast and the packaging, and I hope I can shoot next year, but we have to see. So, and I'm working also, I have another project, but I'm sure that will take a while. It's a children's movie, a real children's movie, which will be an animated feature that I'm writing with the co-writer and the producer here in Germany, and we also want to set that up internationally, and are now starting to get funding to do a kind of a teaser to get to start really getting the budget. That's really interesting because it's something completely different to what I've done before, and also for a very, very different audience. And I think it's very interesting to do something for the real like family entertainment market, but make it interesting and appealing for adults at the same time. And yeah, let's see how all that goes. And at the moment I'm writing in all kinds of different stories, from crime to comedy, just because I'm really interested in doing something else next and continuing my style and all these things. So, but also, yeah, I also think it's important, you know, because in Germany most things get made for TV. So if you want to make a living in Germany, you normally also work for TV. So I'm pitching something for TV in Germany as well. Yeah.
So you want to challenge yourself and just trying a bunch of different things, not really keeping yourself into one wheelhouse, which I think is great.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I have my passion project, and I think my goal would be to follow up. You know, it's not like Der Bunker is like that's the one style I'm doing, but I think there are a lot of elements, this mixture of humor, bit bizarre, edgy, slightly dark, and that's things I'm interested in topics, and I would like to develop that, but you know, make it on a bigger scale, and I think and make an international project. That would be what I'd really like to do, you know, to shoot in English, because it's also better for the distribution, you know, and just to challenge myself, you know, get out of the bunker next time. Yeah.
The religious one that you're working on with these kids sounds interesting. I grew up in a pretty strict religious family, so I'm always like, every time I hear that, I kind of like turn my head and like, well, let's talk about this a little more. Okay, but
was that a Christian?
It was So with this. So this film, like, if it's deals with a cult or whatever, I mean, would this be something you'd be drawing from something in your region that you'd read about or anything like that, or is it more kind of something that could appeal to more not appeal, but that draws from experiences of people all over the world? Like what kind of sparked that idea?
Yeah, I did a lot of research into all kind of different communities. So we went to, at the time I was working with a writer, and together we went to the Hare Krishnas, we went to Christian, how do you call them, evangelicals, we did Zen meditation, we went to Scientology, we read all these kind of things about Jonestown and the Solar Temple and Heaven's Gate and all these different kind of suicide cults, and I thought it was really fascinating what people find in religious communities like this. And of course, you always, from the outside, you kind of see them as evil, but I think there's often also kind of good things, at least for the people, or at least in the beginning. Sometimes they come from a good spirit, and then they turn into something bad because the leaders abuse their power, or for whatever reasons they get corrupted. And I think that is very fascinating. And I also went to an UFO community that was also interesting, you know, where they're called the Raelians, and the leader was abducted by aliens, and where I don't know, I think he slept with clone women from all kinds of different planets. So there's so many absurd stories, but people turn to it and believe it and make this their ideology, which I find very fascinating. But I didn't want to choose like one community, and but I started to build, like, let's say, an own community that is reflects the biography of its leader, because I found, you know, if you look at all these different communities, and you see that they have very many, they share many structural elements, like, you know, that they are they give you the one knowledge, the focus on one leader, and all this, the outside world is wrong, and all these things. So I thought it just would be interesting to build something that is a bit more abstract, but has all these elements that the other cults have. And my cult is set on a Greek island now. It developed over time, but I'm half Greek, and I really liked it that they're kind of isolated on this Greek island, that it has a lot of mystery, and the leader of the cult is the son of the German father, and a Greek mother, and he has kind of constructed a crude mythology that's a mixture of German, Richard Wagner style myth, and then the Greek legends, and that's kind of what he's giving his followers
nice.
as the way to salvation. So yeah, that's I think it could be pretty interesting and a nice setting.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Brad, did you have anything else you want to ask?
No, I just got a boner from the cult story.
That sounds great. I mean,
yeah, I just need the money, and then I get. Let's go.
Let's do it.
All right. People that are listening have money, do it, because anybody knows about my fascination with the cult films, and you know where I stand on that.
Keep it coming.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you coming on the show, and I really hope. I think Artsploitation is making a name for themselves with they took a little hiatus there, and now they're back. And the first few films they had, Dear Samurai, Horsehead, The Treatment, Cub, and now their Bunker. They had a couple others here and there, but I really think that their line of cinema is fitting, even with your film going into their catalog.
Definitely,
They're definitely, they're showing a different side of cinema, which I enjoy, and you know that you're going to see something different when you pick up one of their titles and not your normal, run-of-the-mill slasher flick or horror flick or even a comedy. It's going to be something a little bit different, and none of their films go hand in hand. That's what I like about it. Everything's brand new. So hopefully, with the trust that Artsploitation is building, and especially with something like this is very special. I think you're on the right, the right distributor over here too. I think Artsploitation has made a name for themselves, and build a trusting name at least. So hopefully everybody checks out the Bunker. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for talking with us about this. Everyone, you can go to grindhousevideo.com right now and order Der Bunker from them. And please check it out. We love this film, and we encourage you guys to support it, support Artsploitation, and of course, Nikios, support all of his upcoming films as well.
Yeah.
So, look forward to what you're doing in the future. Sounds like some good stuff, and you're definitely you're on our radar.
That is good to hear, and thank you so much for the invitation.
No pressure for the future projects, by the way.
Okay.
No, Der Bunker is a strong feature debut, and we really do wish you all the best.
Great. Thank you, guys. Take care. All the best from here.
All right. Thanks. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Or
bye.
Good evening, right? Is it evening over there?
Exactly. Yeah, it's almost 10 here in Berlin. Okay.
Fantastic.
Bye-bye.
Thanks again. Bye.
Ciao. Bye.
All right, so like we said in the interview, pick up Der Bunker, out right now on Artsploitation. It's out on Blu-ray and DVD. I would suggest just grab the Blu-ray, because you should be buying Blu-rays and not DVDs. It is 2016.
Oh my God.
Get with the times, motherfuckers.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so you can get it through grindhousevideo.com. Make sure you give Mike some love over there. Other sponsors, make sure you check them out. Go to thescreamcast.com/sponsors. We're going to be doing a giveaway for Coffee Shop of Horrors very soon. I have some samples here to give away. I got their Bubba Spiced Bourbon, their Zombie AA, and their White Russian samples. Oh my God, it smells so good. Go to coffeeshopofhorrors.com. Buy some coffee, use the code ScreamCast, and you get 10% off your order. Also, make sure you're checking out Vinegar Syndrome's releases. Their September pack is up. You can get 40% off if you order now. I keep saying we're going to be doing one. Are we going to shoot for next week, Brad, for Vinegar Syndrome show?
We are in talks with Vinegar Syndrome to come on the show to talk about their
We may just have to do a super epic combined August and September stuff.
Yeah.
Or the July and August stuff.
I think that's going to happen, so we might wait a couple weeks.
Okay.
So we will see, but something is definitely on the horizon.
Yeah, because I'm like, we haven't done our July pack, and then the August pack just came out, and so we gotta do a super duper episode. We want to thank Wolfman of Mars for providing the music. Check them out.
Super duper anymore.
I do, because I'm
super duper on the show.
Because I'm a boob. wolfmanofmars.bandcamp.com. Check out all the music. They have a new album that just came out, and it's super awesome. I played a little bit of it last week. Also, Kevin Spencer for providing all the artwork for the show. And last but not least, Horror Pack. You can use a link on our site to get $3 off of your order. So go to thescreamcast.com/sponsors. Check all that out. And also, Exploitation TV. If you're not signed up with them, make sure you signed up with them. Ton of good stuff right there on your TV through their app. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. You can, of course, find all of our social media links over at thescreamcast.com. Check out our YouTube page through the link. If I get at least 50 subscribers, I can finally choose the link instead of it being like youtube.com/XY01 whatever bullshit. I can actually name it like the ScreamCast whatever. Someone already has the ScreamCast. Jerk. God damn it. But make sure you subscribe there. You'll get some bonus video stuff from us. And of course, if you want to donate to the site, you can donate through PayPal on our link. Go to screamcast.com/donate. Patreon is in the works. I just need to figure out how to make that thing work, how to make it work for us, and our crazy schedules. Cause I want to be able to supply some sort of perks and do all that. Also, we do have a store. We have some products. We have mugs, and shit. I'm going to try to update that too. Get some, we got stickers and buttons I need to get posted there. So if you want to buy some swag, you can, through there. So big thank you to, the listener who recently bought a mug. And of course, I'm a jerk and I don't have it right in front of me. Hold on.
It was Morgan.
Morgan, yes.
Morgan. I've drawn a blank on the last name.
Morgan Jones. Beelzebub bless you, my friend. Instead of saying God bless you, can you say that?
I guess so. You can say anything you want.
All right. That's going to do it for this week's show. We want to thank all of you guys for listening. We really appreciate all the support. All the, those of you that talk to us back and forth on Twitter, we love it. Love, interacting with you guys every day. If you haven't done it yet, if you haven't, talk back at us, on Twitter and shit as you're listening to the show. Throw stuff out. That's always fun when I see that people are listening and we can actually have a conversation as you're listening to the show through Twitter. That'd be awesome. Goddamn, what's our Twitter? I'm having a brain blank. Scream_cast. All right. We're out. Talk to you guys later.
Oh, don't tell me you're leaving. The party's just begun.
All right. I suck at closing a show.
No.
Fuck off.